Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Mon. I am Jake. This is a special edition of the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Mon, we're going to get right into it because our guest today is just a great friend of the show, somebody that you and I truly admire and respect for everything that he has done for Bengaldom throughout his career. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the writer, the man that gets the message out for our Cincinnati Bengals. He is Geoff Hobson. Geoff,
Coach, thank you,
Geoff.
Coach, thanks for having me in. Great to be with the Mon. He's the Mon and the man.
Yes, so, thank you.
It's always great to have you guys. Always great to be on with you guys. And I know with high school football kicking up here pretty soon, and the Bengals starting next week. Now is as good a time as any.
It is. We were just talking off air, man. Our lives are about to get very crazy, Geoff.
Yeah. Geoff, I need to apologize to you. We had Dan Horde on about 3 weeks ago, and I accidentally called him the fifth Beatle. I apologize. He's the sixth Beatle. You're the fifth.
You apologize. Hey, Mon, you apologized, though, to Dan and said, no, wait. Geoff is the fifth, Dan, you're the sixth.
I think I made him a member of the Rolling Stones or something. I don't know. I'm like, oh, man, I can't say that. Okay, but thanks for coming on.
And at Billy Preston somewhere, their late, great Billy Preston is pissed somewhere because he was the fifth Beatle on the roof of Abbey Road, I want to say.
Yeah, his family's going to drop paperwork on the Bengals Pulse. Don't say that again.
Listen, Mom's going to start. There's going to be legal action against Mom because he keeps adding to the Beatles.
Yeah. I just bought an air conditioner in Florida. I got about $3 left in my name. Come and get it.
Yeah.
All right. Geoff, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. You're an icon in Bengaldom, and to have you on our show is top tier. So let's get started.
Let's get started. We got Geoff. We do have, obviously, like you said, Bengals starting up here in just over a week. A lot to digest over these last couple months. The first thing I got to ask you, which I'm sure you're absolutely tired of it, Trey Hendrickson. Have we heard anything? We've heard so many different from the different media outlets. We've heard so many different stories of what's going on, what's not going on. What are you hearing in the building right now? Is there any positive movement on the Trey Hendrickson situation?
Well, truthfully, I haven't been in the building for a couple of weeks, but before I left, I knew that there was some dialogue. I think I don't think the dialogue has ever, not been happening. I think, maybe on some fronts, there hasn't been, dialogue, but I think there's always been some kind of, contact with him and the team, I think. I mean, like I say, just listening to what he's saying, I guess, there's different views of it. All I know is they want the guy back and they want him to be happy and they want to, they want him in the lineup. So that's pretty much all I know. How they get there, I'm not sure. I know there's been some I think some bruised feelings, but I think that they highly regard Trey and as a player. I mean, the guys, no one has more sacks in the NFL in the last 2 years than Trey Hendrickson. No one works harder than Trey Hendrickson. So, I mean, I don't think there's any problem here when it comes to, they like him back. And I think the fact that he showed up, I guess he was working out with Sam Hubbard in Cincinnati.
I saw that.
That looks like a good sign. So, like I say, I'm not on the inside, but, from the outside looking in, I think both sides have every hope of getting this done. And I think that's the most important thing.
I agree. And obviously, I think it seems like there has been a lot of positive movement that way. Shamar Stewart, obviously a completely different situation now. We're talking about a young man who seems to have dug his heels into the ground. Shamar Stewart, is that something that you think maybe is going to happen before we start camp, or any thoughts on Shamar Stewart's situation?
Yeah, I don't know much about it except what I read, and
Right.
I think it seems to be a question of language, and you'd like to think that could get hammered out pretty quickly here. So I mean, obviously they got high hopes for him. I mean, I think, certainly the vision has been to pair one of the great, veteran pass rushers with the most athletic pass rusher, of the last 40 years coming out of the draft.
Right.
And I think that's still the vision, and it's a damn good vision. And I think that's what they're focused on. How they, like I said, they'll get there. How they get there, I'm not sure, but I think their vision is intact. That was laid out, after the draft, and it's like I say, like one of the great pass rushers against, passing on his trade to, one of the top guys in the draft.
Yeah, no one better to learn from, right?
That's no question. And the thing with Trey, it's to me, he's proof that it's so much of this is motor, so much of this is mind over matter. I mean, you look at him, and certainly he's a physically gifted guy, athletically, but you
Yes.
look at him, and the first thing you wouldn't say, great NFL sacker.
Yeah.
He doesn't, but it's what's inside him.
Yeah.
And is just, the guy is just, and it's his personality. The guy's relentless. It's, he's a guy I've gotten to know over the years, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Before I get to my question, I think that, Shamar is going to sign, and I think Bengal fans are going to forget this little ugly thing, because I think he's going to produce. I think he's going to be a great player. I just think somebody that talented with his athleticism and his nonstop motor, because all the draft profiles I read on him, he plays hard. I think that's just an unbeatable combination. I think he's going to be a really good player.
Coaches love him. Every coach that's had him. I mean, I was able to spend some time in the Horn with a couple of his coaches, 2 or 3 of his coaches, and from his coordinator to his position coach. I mean, this is the kind of guy you want. He's in the Saturday game. He's in there on Sunday doing stuff on his own, watching film.
Wow.
I mean, so this is a guy, strikes me as a team-oriented guy. You look at he got ripped, for having 4.5 sacks in his career. But one of his coaches, told me, one of his old teammates, the defensive tackle that Arizona picked,
Nolan, yeah.
picked right before the Bengals. He had a big year playing next to Shamar. So I think Nolan had like maybe 6.5 sacks out of that tackle spot, and the coach was wondering just how many, at least a couple of those could be attributed to Shamar because of the attention that he takes. And so, like I say, he strikes me as a very passionate guy, committed to football.
Good.
I really think, when you look at his, what are they, I don't want to get too much into the weeds here because I'm not a numbers guy, but athletically, a relative athletic score was off the charts. It was like the highest among his position group since like the late 80s.
Yeah.
So whenever they started keeping him. And then I think to match it with his intangibles, I really do think they've got something.
Yeah. His athletic score was perfect, almost like me.
Yeah, right.
Geoff, the Bengals this offseason, they've been the sexy team. I mean, with the 2 signings of Chase and Higgins, and the Trey situation, they're the most talked about team in the offseason. They've added some pieces. They've had pretty decent. They've added some good draft picks. TJ Slayton from the Packers. They've added some players, but it's mostly going to get done with players that are already on the roster. The new coaches. Do you think that the additions of the new coaches, is that going to be enough to get us those 3-4 extra wins and get us in the playoffs?
Well, I go back to Mike Zimmer, and to me, when Zimmer came in, not only did Zimmer change the defense, he changed the culture, certainly on that side of the ball, and I think Al Golden is that kind of hire. And I think, that's a good place to start. You look at what Zimmer did. Zimmer came in, and with basically the same talent, he got that defense to I think 12th, just from his sheer coaching. It was pretty much the same guys in 08, that they had in 07. And then in 09, they drafted Ray Malaluga. That was probably the biggest addition. But that defense went from 12 to number 4 in the league, and was the engine of a team that swept the division. The only AFC North team to sweep the division. It was basically because of Mike Zimmer's defense. Yes, Carson Palmer.
That's a great point.
That is a good point.
So, and I think Al Golden has that kind of personality, has that kind of fire, has the brains, as we saw at Notre Dame. So I look at that, and people talk, what impact can a coach have? Well, I give you Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, that's a good point. You just made me think about that 09 team. They were on Hard Knocks, and the Bengals, Sed Benson had a great year that year on offense, running the ball, and that helps the defense also.
Yeah. My favorite Bengals team. That's my favorite Bengals team of all time, because nobody gave them a shot. Nobody thought they'd do a damn thing. They were coming off a 4-win year. Carson Palmer was coming off an elbow injury, and they protected him with Cedric Benson. Sed Benson had the kind of year that was projected when he was the 4th pick in the draft with the Bears. They rode him on offense. It was, the defense was, can you name anybody on that defense? Yeah, well, that was, they were anchored by 2 of the best corners in the league, and Leon Hall and Jonathan Joseph, and a rookie, Ray Malaluga, at middle linebacker. And, and some veterans, some cagey veterans that bought into what Zimmer was doing.
Who was the bow tie linebacker? Who was that? I forgot his name.
I think you had Malaluga, you had the Donnie Jones.
Donnie Jones, that's
was on that club. He was a smart guy. He was on his 3rd team. Who and then later that year in 09, I believe they picked up Chris Crocker.
They did.
So
and
who had been with Zimmer for maybe he'd been with him for half a year in Atlanta. And so, I always like to look at that 09 club because this team is so much better than that team.
Right.
You know what I mean? This team it has one of the greatest offenses of this era.
Yes.
So you match it with the defense that was competitive like that one. And, there's a parade. There's a parade on February 15th. Ken Anderson's birthday. Whatever.
I like that. Jeff, you got the next one?
Yeah, Jeff, that's great stuff, man. You're absolutely right about that 09 team and Zimmer and the addition of Zimmer. And when they added Crocker too, Crocker played really well. I mean, on the back end of that defense. Let's now talk about what you saw in minicamp and OTAs, because like Mon said, you have the addition of all the new coaches, obviously the big ones in Al Golden and Scott Peters and even Montgomery on the defensive line. Then you look at all the additions throughout free agency. Again, Chase and T are locked up. You have Yoshi looking great out there, and looks like Jermaine Burton might be ready to go and in line. This rookie class I love it. I'm a huge fan of this class. I think when you look at Knight and Carter and Fairchild and Brooks, I mean, I just love this young talent that they have coming in. I'm curious, what are some of your takeaways, Geoff, from OTAs and camp? And maybe give me like one of those rookies that you think is just going to make a huge impact on this season.
Yeah, well, it's hard to talk about the linemen because they just don't have pads on. But clearly Scott Peters is doing different things on the offensive line. He's bringing his own. He's bringing the strike system. He's bringing his own. He's got a much different approach than the coach before in Frank Pollock. And I think it's that's going to be different. And the linemen seem to have bought into that on offense and on defense with Jerry Montgomery. I can't tell you much about the defensive line. Like I said, no pads, but I know Montgomery's history of of developing players and of taking draft picks and developing them. I think it spoke volumes when TJ Slayton signed up right away in the first day of free agency and wanted to be teamed up with Montgomery, the Bengals' new nose tackle from Green Bay. And one of the more biggest memories I have of OTAs, one of the biggest things I took was not on the field, but I walked by assistant offensive line coach Mike McCarthy's office, and I saw Jerry Montgomery, the new defensive line coach, talking with Scott and Mike. And to me,
love to see that.
And to me, that was interesting to see. But on the field, mark me down for Demetrius Knight.
Yes.
I think to make a big impact. Yes. Great quote, by the way. For he's about to turn 25. I think 2 kids, very mature guy. He runs like he can run. I mean, he can run like hell. He's a big kid. Clearly smart. He's a former quarterback. So, and he runs around. They lined him up out there right away. They lined him right next to Logan right away, Logan Wilson. And, he just seems to, he's got all the DNA it takes to be an impactful NFL linebacker. And I think to me, before they even put on the pads, which is always dangerous to say anything, to me, I would mark me down for Knight.
I'm with you, man. I love that pick. I loved it when it happened. I mean, the number one run stopping linebacker in college football, and then you pair him up with Carter, who was the number one pass covering linebacker in college football. I love those two and the addition of both of them and what they're going to do defensively. Real quick, Geoff, want to just throw this out here because obviously it's just was released, and that is the second season of Quarterback on Netflix. I cannot get enough of it. I've watched it. Just the Joe Burrow parts. I'm just fast forwarding through to the Joe Burrow parts. I've watched it 3 times. I just want to get your take if you've watched it and what you think of that side of Joe. If you don't love him already, how can you not love this guy? I'm enthralled with the Joe Burrow quarterback season. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, Joe's great. Guy's an unbelievable player. He's a really unique person, I think. I'm trying to get into it. I guess maybe I'm a little bit bitter. I'd like to get that kind of access. But no, I joke. Kind of, but no, but we get inundated with all these documentaries now.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm a little bit jaded. I'm a print guy, I kind of like so maybe I'm a little bit jaded about that, but I love to watch. Anything I can get at Burrow, I love, and it's great. It's great for the Bengals, I think.
Yes.
Because it's great for the city. Because when they talk about Burrow, they have to talk about the Bengals, and they have to talk about Cincinnati. And to me, that's great for everybody. And Joe's such a great ambassador. You know what I mean? like I say, he's a very interesting guy. He's the kind of guy you'd like to sit down with. I mean, I'd like to write a book on the guy. I mean, the guy is so unique. And I think the thing I like about Burrow is he strikes me, and I don't, I'm not, I don't know him all that well, but I think to me, he strikes me as being empathetic. And I think that's a trait that's in short supply these days. And I really respect that in the guy. He strikes me as an empathetic guy, and I salute him.
I like that. I agree 100%. You can sort of read between the lines and see that, read the tea leaves. I agree 100%. Geoff, I got to ask you a question. I asked Dan this, and I'm a little salty about it. A lot of Bengal fans are. On Dan's podcast last year, when he was talking about the 2024 schedule, he had Mike North on, the NFL scheduling, the director or whatever, and they were talking about the Bengals schedule. And Dan sort of broke the news to him that, this is the third year in a row the Bengals have played in Baltimore in prime time. And Mike North seemed really like he was surprised. He wasn't aware of that. He wrote a great article, the most recent schedule release with Mike North, and he seemed to have some regrets about that. What's your take on the Bengals and this issue with Baltimore, going to Baltimore 4 years in a row and having to play them in prime time? Because Baltimore's record against the AFC North in prime time is unbelievable. It's just, it's a disadvantage. And I know they got to play and they should have won it last year, but it's tough. And what's your take on that?
I think Harbaugh has lost 3 times. Harbaugh he started coaching in 2008.
I think it's 3 times.
Yeah, he's like 25-3 or something. Maybe 2 losses to the Chiefs. So to me, I guess it's all ratings. I mean, that's all it is, right? That's all it comes down to, right? I mean, I don't think, if there's a bias, it's toward the ratings, and they don't care, apparently, about anything else. So, but my question is, can't they get the same numbers on TV if the game was in Cincinnati? Prime time? Exactly. So I'm not sure. That part I don't get. But and the other part I don't get is I don't think there shouldn't be division games on Thursday night. There shouldn't be division games on Thursday night, and there shouldn't be division games overseas.
I agree.
Which I don't think that. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's just the competitive advantage is too great to decide a division, in my opinion. But I agree. I'm just I don't get it. I mean, now Mike's in a tough spot. The league's in a tough spot because they're never going to please anybody. And, I think they do a hell of a job. They do a hell of a job. I mean, it's, you can't bitch about the Bengals being on, prime time. For years that was the bitch too. So now,
True.
It's just,
that's true.
Mike's got a hard job. They got a hard job. I'm sure the last thing they wanted to do was put them in Baltimore again for a primetime game. I'm sure that's not what they set out to do, and I'm sure they were aware of the fact. They knew it. They knew it when we talked to them right after the schedule came out. They got it, but
right.
I don't know. I think it's
That's a good point by you, though. The Bengals are in demand. They are in demand.
They are one of the most. They are, because of Burrow and Chase and the offense they play, what Zach and Pitcher and Callahan now in Tennessee have formed. These guys are must see, And so, I guess that's I guess you got to give it. When you give it, when you get a little, you got to give a little, I guess. So
yeah. I was just salty when the schedule was released. Twitter can be a really ugly place.
I'm kind of like Burrow. What's wrong with the 1 o'clock? I kind of agree with what Joe said. What's wrong with the 1 o'clock? The last time they played at 1 o'clock in Baltimore was the calling card game in 2021 when I believe Burrow went for 416 and Jamar had the 82-yard spin and go touchdown out of a pack. P-Ryan, I think, had a big touchdown at the end. 20 yards.
And that's probably, Geoff, that's probably why they haven't done it again.
I don't know. I don't know. I just, it's great, but it's great to, just, despite all that, it's good to kind of step back and say, hey, they got us on Thanksgiving night, which is got to be one of the biggest nights of the year for watching football, right? So,
That's true. Yes.
like I said, I kind of prefer to look at it that way, because it's just you get tired being angry.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you, Geoff. I'm gonna take one less blood pressure pill today because of that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You got me off the ledge. Thank you.
So, Geoff, let's now switch gears to what I think is the biggest news of the offseason. Obviously, Shamar and T, huge additions, and just I don't know if you can quantify those two additions. However, the deal with Hamilton County looks like it is good to go. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, Mon and I have talked about this on the show, and really what Mon and I have talked about is the loyalty that the Browns have had to the city of Cincinnati. They could have jumped ship to Baltimore. They didn't. They have been very loyal to this community. And Mon and I, being Bengal fans for 40 plus years, we were very excited about this new deal. What are your thoughts on it, Geoff?
I mean, I think it's a great testimony to Mike, a great testament to Mike Brown, and not only that, but how his, how he's passed on that legacy to his family. His family wants to be here. His granddaughters want to be here. And that goes beyond, numbers and negotiations. I mean, Mike Brown is the reason the Bengals are in Cincinnati.
Yes.
All right. He told his father, look, don't go to Seattle. Ohio is where you made your bones, and Cincinnati is an up and coming town. And I think you got to look back at what Riverfront Stadium meant to the community, beyond sports. I mean, that's the first time really, I think, that anything tried to get developed on the river. Now, nothing followed suit really. I mean, Riverfront became, was one of the first of the multi-purpose stadiums that were later blown up. But it marked a big thing, and I think in the evolution of Cincinnati was the Riverfront, became a player. And then, you got to I think one of the most underrated things is the banks. I mean, when the Bengals in Hamilton County and when the voters passed that, I mean, and to rebuild on the riverfront, I mean, that spawned the banks, and that was the first piece of it, was Paycor Stadium. So, I mean, look at that place, the banks. I mean, that's a beautiful.
I was just there last week.
I love it.
I was just there last week for my family reunion. We stayed in Covington. We all spent time on the banks, went to the Underground Museum, went to a lot of functions there. It's beautiful. I mean, we enjoyed all the businesses there. And we've been visiting Cincinnati, my family, since the mid-'90s. We go up there once a year to watch games. We always stayed in Covington. And then they built the new stadiums. The banks emerged. We stay in Cincinnati now. We stay at the Hilton. We have a blast. And we meet people from Indiana, New Jersey that are there for the weekend for the games. And, it's a lot of fun. It's a great area. I love it up there. But
I'm
glad they got it done.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you think about, Bob Bettinghouse, who's the architect of that deal. And you look what it spawned. I mean, it's really, I remember, Mon, to your point, when I first got my job in Cincinnati, at the Cincinnati Post in 1990, I just assumed you could go down to the riverfront and walk around. And I found myself with two kids in a stroller on a trying to get over a guardrail on Fort Washington Way. You know what I mean? And now look at it. Now Anita and I can take the grandkids down there for a walk down on a boardwalk, almost. It's
Jeff.
my daughter got married. My daughter got married there.
Yeah.
I met Paul Dana Jr. got married there in a great ceremony on the suspension bridge, and a great reception on the banks. And Kerry, my daughter, by the way, the day before the calling card game in Baltimore. But that was a memorable day, on the river. So and Mike talks about this too. He'll talk about it. It's family memories too. Going to the stadium with your dad or your grandfather, or like you, Mon, having a family reunion there. That's the stuff that matters. And I'm just so happy that they got this done. But I'm not surprised, knowing Elizabeth and Caroline and how much they love the history of their family's involvement in the game and the town. I mean, Katie and Troy, they're lifelong Cincinnatians.
Yeah.
Blackburn, Mike, obviously when Mike chose, or urged his father to go to Cincinnati, that meant his kids were Cincinnati kids, Paul and Katie, and Troy Blackburn, Katie's husband, is a lifelong Cincinnatian, I mean, to me, that's who you want, they're like us, I mean, they love the town. They love the team.
A lot of younger fans. That's why Jake mentioned that earlier. A lot of younger fans don't realize the late 90s, the contentious, the back and forth. And Mike Brown did visit Baltimore. He went to Camden Yards. They courted him. They wanted the Bengals to move to Baltimore. Obviously, that didn't happen. The guy up north took that offer, and a lot of younger fans don't realize that. And it's I'm grateful for the Brown family because we get to keep our Bengals in Cincinnati.
Paul Brown's team is actually the Ravens.
Yes.
Paul Brown's first team is the Ravens because, to me, that's always great when they play Baltimore too. That's always a big thing too. Is that's really the Browns.
Yeah.
And the Browns were obviously named for Paul Brown, who that was America's first. That was the first America's team. Paul Brown's Cleveland Browns of the 50s that are now the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Jeff, wanted to ask you real quick about the Ring of Honor. We know that's the big, festivities going to be coming up early in the season. The Bengals announced some potential changes. They haven't announced any of them. Are there any that you would like to see change potentially? Maybe, there's a backlog of players, maybe increasing Ring of Honor selections to 4 a year to get those caught up. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just glad it's going to keep going. I mean, I'm not like I said, I'm not sure what form it's going to take, but I just love to see it. In no matter what form. I mean, I think that it's a great way to honor the history. And I think Elizabeth and Caroline have done a great job. They've they developed it. They developed the idea in 2020, and they've improved it and tweaked it, and just to keep it going, like I say, in any form. I mean, it's it's you look back, man, and I mean, it's so many great players. I mean,
yes.
So many great players, and it just continues. I guess I look at it too, being a Hall of Fame voter. It's just, let's get some of these guys in the Hall, and I think the Ring of Honor has helped their candidacy. I think it's helped that the fact that they're honored by this team, I think that helps shed light on their candidacies. But, you still got guys like Willie Anderson and Ken Anderson who are in the Ring of Honor, Isaac Curtis in the Ring of Honor. So it's, you get a lot of great players. I mean, like I say, it's a great way to, and I think it keeps I think it shows you how smart the fan base is and how connected they are to the past. I think they have a real sense of the past. I think because the Bengals do a good job recognizing it too, but also I think the fathers and grandfathers and the grandmothers and mothers have done a great job passing on, some of the great names, because you look at the voting, and the guys from the 70s seem to be competing with the guys from the 21st century. So, I mean, to me, that shows you another example of the love of the franchise is that even though, folks are getting, the folks are getting younger, or, their perspective is, probably more 21st century, is it's still, there's still an appreciation for what came before.
Oh, 100%. And so many deserving players right now that are up for the Ring of Honor. I mean, every single one of those guys deserves to be on there eventually. You kind of led us into that last question, and you wrote an article about Tom Gray, and if Bengal fans, if you have not read it yet, you need to go on and read this article. He was the original equipment manager for the Cincinnati Bengals, I think from 68 to like 99 or something like that. He was, and the Hall of Fame is going to acknowledge him and what he has done for this franchise. Like I said, I love the article. Guys, if you have not read it, go on and read it. It is outstanding work, as always, from all of Geoff's articles. Geoff, that leads me into that question of Kenny Anderson, Willie Anderson. Is Ken and Willie, are we going to see them soon, man? I really, it's to me, it's heartbreaking to watch those two guys get passed up every year because they are so deserving.
Yeah, thank you, Coach, for the kind words there. Yeah, I mean, I think, Willie, by virtue of finishing, but by the way, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Will.
Happy birthday, Will.
I think he's turning the big one today. That's hard to believe. 5-0.
Oh, he's 5-0. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
By virtue of finishing in the top 7 last year, he is automatically in the final 15. It's a tough year, though. It's a tough year, though, because Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald are eligible for the first time, and it's hard for me to see them not getting in.
Yes.
And with the way they changed the voting, it's hard to get in after those first 2 guys. If we don't have time to get into how the voting was changed, but it's a little tougher. It's a little tougher to get in now. But also up for the first time this year is Geno Atkins, who is
yes,
he's certainly a Hall of Fame player, and I do believe he'll get in. I don't know if he'll get in this year, but because it's like I said, it's a tough year with Fitzgerald and Brees. But Geno should get in. Willie should get in. I mean, Kenny, I don't know. I just, to me, he's always had the best. There's great cases in the senior committee, and that's one of the great, it's one of the great struggles that the voters have is once you go into there's an abyss. They call it the senior abyss because there's so many players who are beyond 25 years of playing who deserve to be in there. And I've always thought Kenny had one of the strongest cases, if not the strongest. I mean, I think he's the best quarterback not in the Hall. With all due respect to Eli Manning, but Ken Anderson won 4 passing titles.
yes,
End of story. Did it in 2 different decades. I mean, he did it in 2 different decades and 2 different, and in 2 different types of football.
Geoff, when's the time frame for that to know? When do they meet to discuss all this?
Yeah, that's all. The senior committee, I believe, is being reconfigured. That's
right.
Coming up. But the usually, the finals, the final meeting is held sometime before the Super Bowl. So there's some time.
I got you.
Well, Geoff, as always, go ahead, Mon.
No, I'm just going to say thank you so much for being on the show. You're going to do that. Geoff, I just want you to know how I've shared the story before, but I have followed you since the 90s. I know I'll repeat myself here. I used to go to my local library on a Wednesday because that's when the Sunday paper would come in from around the nation. To get the Cincinnati Enquirer, the Post, New York Times, you name it. This is in the 90s. The Sunday paper would show up on Tuesday or Wednesday, and that's when I'd go read my little 5 or 6 paragraphs on the Bengals. That's how I got my Bengal news.
Yep.
And then technology took over and started getting the internet and all that. But thank you so much. You're the best. You're the glue to Bengal knowledge or Bengaldom. You really are.
Well, I appreciate that, Mom. But you're the guy. I mean, you're a firefighter. You're doing the real work, man. You're saving people's lives. So I've always and coaches working with kids. So those two things, man, what I do that pales in comparison to what you guys do every day. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you appreciating me.
Well, thank you very much. But I love my job, but like I have on my social media, future executive of the Cincinnati Bengals. That's my dream job. It's never going to happen, but at least, people see that. Okay.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's always a pleasure.
Guys, really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it.
Mon and I will be up for the Jacksonville game. We're gonna make a trip up.
That'd be great.
We'll give you just a quick shout and tell you hi. We know you'll be busy, but man,
hope to be on here before then.
That's right.
Yes. Well, let's get you on.
We're going to be 2-0 after that Jacksonville game. It's happening this year, baby.
The home opener. That'd be huge. You're coming for the home opener. That's great.
That's right.
We're excited. We're excited. Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Coach. Good luck to your team, Coach, and Mom, be safe out there.
Thank you so much. My house is cool. New AC. I'm happy.
Who day, Jeff? Who day?
Who day, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
What a great guy, man. I wish he could come on every week. The
Bengals
Pulse with Geoff Hobson, weekly. We sell a lot of shirts.
Listen, wouldn't you just love to just sit down and crack open one and just talk, just all of his wealth of knowledge, just listen to stories. And it's just absolutely, he is just awesome. He's the best.
I would love that. I'm going to tell you, I would love to do that. And when Dan Horde has that yearly interview with Mike Brown, that's must listen. His stories are unbelievable. I love that stuff. I absolutely love it. But good stuff. And we'll, that's the show, right? That's
the show. Hey, real quick. I do want to throw this out here. Isn't it funny, Mom? Because some people that are Bengal fans aren't Reds fans. But isn't it funny how this Reds team just pulled you back into it? Like you walk away and you're just like defeated, and then they'll just find a way to pull you back in. It's so frustrating. This team is so frustrating. The Reds. I'm talking
Jake,
about.
I love it. I love the Reds, but I'm not going to lie to you. I can't get on more blood pressure meds. I can't do it. And well, we can't do the Reds Pulse. We got to postpone that for a little bit.
We got to postpone for our pulses. We got to postpone. All right. Once again, thank you to the man, the myth, the legend, Geoff Hobson, for coming on. Always great stuff, guys. If I know you already do, but if you don't, you've got to check out Geoff Hobson and all of his incredible articles. Mon, this was a great show, and as always, man, just a pleasure having Geoff on.
Yeah, it is. Good job. Good show.
All right, guys.
I think he's been on the most out of any. He's the number one guest. He's been on more than anybody else. So
he was one of our first guests.
He's a de facto third member of the Pulse.
So let's wrap it. De facto third. I love it. All right, guys. As always, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms: Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. As always, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you give us that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. As always, follow Mon on Twitter at @TheFireMon. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Jake Owens 9. Follow Eric on Twitter at eFlash with 2 H's 88. Follow the Cincinnati Podcast Network on Twitter at Cincinnati Pod. As always, guys, follow us on Twitter at the Bengals Pulse. The same on Instagram without the @ the Bengals Pulse. And as always, guys, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Cincinnati Podcast Network. He is Mon. I am Jake. Shout out to our man Eric, and of course the man Geoff Hobson. Thank you for coming on once again, my man. We will talk to you guys soon. Who day, Bengal fans?
See ya.